Hi everyone, Find the Time Tano here, the internet's busiest music nerd, and it's time for a review of this new Anna von Hausswolff album, Iconoclasts. This is the newest and sixth full-length album from songwriter, vocalist, producer, composer, organist, Miss Anna von Hausswolff. For over a decade now, Anna has been releasing music in a variety of experimentally leaning styles, from minimalism to drone to left field strains of classical and rock music. But regardless of what era she has been in creatively with whichever album, she typically does bring a larger than life sound. I mean, I haven't heard an album from her yet that, at least to some degree, didn't sound otherworldly and ritualistic and mystical, and I would actually say that is especially the case for Iconoclasts over here, as I think it is her biggest undertaking to date. And what exactly does that mean when you're talking about an artist who previously has made albums as gigantic and panoramic as Dead Magic and All Thoughts Fly? Well, to start, this record, I believe, is her longest at 73 minutes in length. It is her most stacked as well in terms of notable guest collaborators, as you have Iggy Pop on this LP, Ethel Cain too, and even Anna's sister Maria for a really beautiful song toward the end of the album, which I will get into later. But Anna and her usual producer on this project, Philip Lehman, really did try to go all out on this record instrumentally too, expanding beyond the organs and keys that typically serve as the backbone of many of her records. And while those elements are still most definitely there, the real star of the show on this project, outside of Anna's vocals, of course, are all these layers of saxophone, which are brought by saxophonist Otis Sandsjo, who goes absolutely nuts on this record, aggressively howling on some tracks or giving us these freaky stuttering licks and tones that sound like a tremolo picked guitar or something. At points, his playing does remind me of Colin Stetson a bit, and I apologize for maybe bringing him up first because, I mean, I don't really have too many reference points for, experimental saxophonists outside of the realm of jazz, I mean. And Otis's playing does remind me quite a bit of Colin's, but if you could somehow imbue Colin's performances with like a rock star bravado, because for sure Otis does do a bit of showboating here and there on some tracks on this record, but it just adds to the thrill and theatrics of these songs. I would also say Iconoclasts is one of Anna's most cohesive albums thematically, as there are a lot of lyrics throughout this project that deal in womanhood and aging, the passage of time, as well as family and loved ones, but sometimes it's all fed through very surrealist or even nightmarish imagery. And I would add, in addition to all of this, there really is like a cinematic flow to the record too. Big macro picture element going on here from the starting track, The Beast, which in a lot of ways is like a snippet, a motif, a melodic theme that is later to come on the album, as the track Struggle with the Beast is pretty much, you know, the long, rockin', multi-phased epic that this song is like really just giving us a little bit of a sneak peek of. And I honestly love that forecasting. And after this, we have the first full song on the album, Facing Atlas, which despite being about 5 minutes in length, itself also does feel like a teaser of some sort. The track also serves as a show of the kind of sonic magic that Anna and her collaborators are going to be subjecting us to on this album, with just this ocean of bassy drones, shimmering tones, cavernous reverbs. It really is like some wondrous studio magic that is being pulled together here, even if the overall vibe and sound isn't quite as like, you know, organic or indebted to whatever wide open space the music is being recorded in or something like that, which has very much been the case for a lot of Anna's previous records, where like the energy and again sound of the recording was so dependent on the place that the organ was in, where she was playing and recording. So yeah, we're not really kind of getting that quite as much this time around, but really no matter, because Philip and Anna here have pretty much pulled pulled together a series of sonic palettes on these songs that sound like the soundtrack to some kind of blockbuster movie epic. And from this track forward, the rest of the album just proceeds to go as big as possible, not only sonically, but in terms of song lengths too, as you are getting some pretty long cuts from here, with decent to fantastic results. With the title track, though, I will say I think Anna has had stronger vocal performances in the past. Her delivery on this one is so trebly and nasally, shouty, and occasionally strained too. I wouldn't say it's due to a step down from previous records, though. In terms of ability and quality, I think Anna has just managed to write a very vocally and instrumentally demanding song here. As over the top and as massive as it is, I feel like there are definitely some kinks that could have been worked out. A funny irony, though, following this track, the whole woman, Anna's much more measured vocal delivery on this track I found to be actually really enjoyable. The song itself is solid, but this track also features a guest vocal from none other than Iggy Pop, whose very awkward, weary croons kind of weigh down the song's full potential. Sadly, I'm not really going too gaga for the following track, The Mouth, either. It does have some interesting vocal passages and enchanting layers to boot, but its lengthy progression doesn't really offer too much more on the back end other than some weird distortion and panning experiments. Stardust, though, in my opinion, is really where the record starts to pick up, as this track is a very intense, transcendental piece of sax rock with steady drums, fuzzy bass licks, Anna getting a bit more aggressive with her vocals too, and the song is the better for it. It really is one of the most hard-hitting and visceral songs on the record, and somehow stays fiery and exciting for the entire duration of its meaty length. Aging Young Women with Ethel Cain to follow, I do have some mixed feelings on, though. I like the way that Ethel and Anna's vocals marry on this track as a song itself. I think it's really solid and enjoyable, but it is a track that, despite its subtle beauty, there is, I think, an intimacy that is lost in all of the reverb and booming drums and strings and the vocals like sitting so high in the mix. Meanwhile, there's not really a lot of instrumentation taking up the mid-range, so the track feels weirdly sterile and hollow. I think doing something a bit looser and more acoustic and stripped back would have done this tune wonders, and also maybe provided a little bit of sonic diversity to this record, because truth be told, like, pretty much all the tracks on the record to one degree or another just sound really, really massive. However, moving from here, the final leg of the record is very strong. Consensual Neglect is a powerful and densely layered instrumental cut that comes to a super bright and just a firework finish. Struggle with The Beast, which, you know, the opening track, The Beast, was essentially teasing toward with these sax themes. Anna, Philip, and Otis really smashed it on this one, in my opinion, in terms of like really making the weight for this just giant, this mountain of a track that, you know, we just got a tiny little hint of at the beginning of the album. Like, this 8-minute monster is such a brutal and heavy listen that it does feel like, you know, contending with a mythical beast of some sort, one that you only heard word of at the start of the album, and now you're kind of like being faced with the reality of it, and it's just greater than you could have ever imagined. An Ocean of Time is an all-encompassing and chilling drone number that really is a calm after the storm, and it's a very worthwhile calm, even if it could have been maybe pared down just a little bit in terms of length. And Unconditional Love, featuring Anna's sister of all people, is a gorgeous ballad with wonderful vocal layers, and you know, brings that intimacy that I was kind of hoping for the Ethel Cain track to provide for the track list. The singing on this track is just so emotive and pained and touching. Meanwhile, these very simple and bright organ leads that play after those vocals, it really is just like tear-inducing. Following this, we have an instrumental closer. So we have, like, you know, these book-ended tracks that kind of start and finish the album, which again add to that cinematic flow, that macro picture. And despite there being a good handful of tracks that I think could have been tweaked or changed, or moments in the flow of this album that could have been altered for a better overall experience, I'm still walking away from this record pretty impressed because Anna and her collaborators like really were shooting for the stars. They may have just like, ended up hitting the moon here, but the high quality peaks on this album, of which there are quite a few, really do make for some larger than life moments, which is why I'm feeling a strong 7 on this album. Transition, have you given this record a listen? Did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you rate it? You're the best, you're the best. What should I review next? Hit the like if you like. Please subscribe and please don't cry. Hit the bell as well. Over here next to my head, it's another video you can check out. Hit that up or the link to subscribe to the channel. Anthony Fantano, Anna von Hausswolff, forever.